Hello everybody, Party Fowl here. Today I am going to show you how to make custom skins for Primal Carnage Extinction, test them out in your SDK editor, and upload them into submission for Steam Workshop. But before I get to any of that, I would like to thank the developers, Circle 5, for pumping out the new update for the SDK editor. Yeah, as far as any of us knew, it wasn't something that was planned to be pumped out this soon because of complications and time restraints on the developers' ends, so thank you for that. And now, to start off with, I use 3D Coat. This is probably the most user-friendly program I have used for skin editing. It's much faster than the old method where I was using Photoshop and reloading the skin into Blender, which was taking forever. And it's so much easier to do your models with this. You can literally pull one off in 30 minutes to an hour, depending on how you want your detail for the model. Possibly longer if you're doing something more complex. But this program is well worth it. It works with the .obj models that Senoba gave us for download. So we're going to start off with an asymmetrical model and work our way down to the less complex stuff. So first we're going to click Paint, UV Map Mesh per pixel, and click our little folder icon here, and I'm going to open up our asymmetrical Dilo model here. Now our normal map software preset option, I like to set this to Unreal Engine, just to keep it in correlation with the engine that Circle 5 used to develop the game. And we're going to click OK. And this is going to bring up our Dilophosaurus. Next we want to import our normal map and our diffuse layer. So we click up here onto Textures and go to Import, Normal Map. Now since I'm already in the folder, I don't have to locate the directory. I'm going to open up t-base-dilo-n.tga, which is our normal map. This will give us all of our outer details, just the bulkier stuff. And then we're going to go into Textures, Import, Color/Albedo Map, and we're going to open up our diffused layer, which is the t-base-dilo-d, and click Open, and this will give us all of our scale details, all the rest of our wrinkles and things like that. Now, first I'm going to show you an issue some people get with coloring. First we have this yellow circle with this little blue chunk here. There's a curved red line. If you right click this and drag it down, that'll be flat, which makes a flat paint texture. Now when we first paint on our Dilo, you will see that it only paints on one side. It also shows up that way with our texture map here. So we paint on our texture map, we're going to get the same deal. It only shows up on one side. So what we want to do is we want to come up here to Symmetry, click Symmetry here with the bracketed S, and check our X-axis box. And it'll bring up this red symmetry plane. If you wish to disable this, just uncheck the Show Symmetry Plane, and it will take that away. Now if we paint on our Dilo, which I just accidentally took the diffuse layer map off. Alright, now that our diffuse layer is back, we are going to take and drag our layer 1 here and make this our base paint layer so that it's over everything else we have. Now we will be painting on this layer and this layer alone, because this is the layer we need to export. So now when we paint on our dilo, it's going to show up on both sides as it shows here on our texture map, but it still will not do the same here. There is no fix for that. Another issue with this is our brush opacity. If you paint on the model here, you'll notice that it comes up a lighter color. Now if you were to paint over it, you'll notice that it comes in darker. Now to fix this, we're going to come up here to our brush opacity, because most people have an opacity default setting of about 76%. We're going to set that to 100, so that even when we paint on here, if we paint here, it won't come up darker. Now you'll notice that here on our texture map, this shows up and just kind of eats away at our other textures. So we are going to come here to where it says standard blend, and we're going to put modulate 2x. Now when we paint over it, we will keep all of our details, our scales, and stuff like that. And when you paint over it, you won't get that darker overlay. So there's how to do our asymmetrical models. Now we are going to open up a model that has multiple UV layers. So we're going to go with the T-Rex and get the T-Rex model open. We're going to keep everything here Unreal and all that. And now we have our T-Rex model. Also, before I forget to mention, there are some models, such as the Acro or some of the models that I uploaded, that when you open them for import, now with these models you don't have to do this, but the Acro that comes in this pack and most of the models that come in my pack, you will have to check the swap Y and Z scene axis. Otherwise the model will come in sideways. So remember that for the Acro and most of the human models and items that I have uploaded. So we have our T-Rex model open, and it has multiple UV layers, which you can see over here in this tab, which you can use this tab to alternate your texture map between the two of them. With this being a symmetrical model, you don't have to toggle symmetry for them. So we're going to go straight into our textures and import our normal maps. So we have MREX UV2. So what we're going to do is we're going to come in here into our T-Rex textures, and we're going to get the UV2 normal map. This will give us our body for all of our rough details. And we're going to do the same thing for UV1. Normal map for UV1, and do the UV1N, and click OK. So now that we have that, we're going to go into our color albedo map, and we're going to do the same thing for our UV1 diffused layer to get our head up here. And we're going to do the same thing for our UV2 layer for the diffused body layer. This brings up for our Rex. Now you will have single UV layer models that have only one UV layer, so you will not have to do anything special for those. The T-Rex, the feathered raptors, the Spino, those are, and the Tarantupa, those are all 2-layer UVs, whereas the Novaraptor, the Acro, the Carnotaurus, and the Dilocryo, those are all single UV. Actually, wait, I got that wrong. The Carnotaurus is 2 UVs. So we have the same deal here, and we can paint on our Rex here. Now, a nice little trick I'm going to show you is for if you want to do like special like shading kind of details. We have our blue here that I put as the base. Which I forgot to drag our top layer up here and set that to modulate 2x. So we have our base layer here. Now if you click on your airbrush tool here, I already have two preset colors, so I'm going to swap those out and get my orange up here. You can mess with your opacity, like we'll set this to 50 opacity. And with our airbrush, you can lightly airbrush over the color you want, and it will slowly fade in, and it's a really good tool for fading colors into one another. Now, what we're going to do with our Rex is we're going to come over here to our texture map, and we can also, like I mentioned with the Dilo, is we can paint on here, and you can alternate between the UV map layers. And with the Rex being a symmetrical model, you will get it on both sides, which makes for good detail editing. Now that we have, we're going to just say this is a complete skin, we're going to get ready to export it for use with SDK and upload to Steam Workshop. So we're going to disable our model layer, our normal map, and our diffuse map, and we're going to be left with just this 3D coat of paint that's just single. And now we're going to export through texture, export color albedo map, and you'll have to export each UV one at a time depending on how many UV layers the model has. So if we click this and click OK, you will want them to be in .png format for upload with Workshop. You can do TGA or PNG, whichever you prefer, to import it into the SDK tool. Either will work. I just prefer to use TGA because if I recall correctly, TGA will shrink it down to the proper size it needs for Workshop upload. And you'll just call it whatever you want, but it does have to be in .png for the Steam Workshop upload. So you give it your name, like we'll call it Rex Skin or whatever. But I'm not going to do that since I already have a skin pre-made for this tutorial. So I'm going to cancel this, but you will save your skin. Now that we are done with 3D Coat, we're going to move on over to the Extinction editor. It's important to have a map loaded. I have this one preloaded because it took about 30 minutes for it to recompile all the shaders and everything to just load a map in. And what we're going to do is we're going to come here and go into Predator, because this is what I have for mine. You can, whatever class you have, you're going to choose your class. Bruiser, Flyer, Miscellaneous, Predator, Tyrant, Spitter. For this one I'm going to use Predator, and we want Skeletal Mesh. And I am going to make a copy of the default Raptor. So we are going to right click our Raptor mesh and click Create Copy. And our package is going to be Custom Skins. Everything you do with naming in the SDK has to be all in one single line with no spaces. So you can call it, I can call it custom skins, I can call it custom underscore skins, there can be no spaces in it. I will call this SK default Raptor with no spaces. So once that's done, we'll click OK, and we have a copy of our Raptor model. We don't necessarily have to do this. I like to do this way I don't have to mess with the Raptor model in the Predator folder too much. So we're going to come back into our Predator folder, and we're going to go to all, or you can go to material instance, whichever you choose, and I am going to locate the default raptor skin. So with the default raptor skin selected, we are going to do the same thing, create a copy, and we're going to put this into ch custom skins. I may have just called that custom skins actually. No, where did that go? Okay, so it did do that. So we're going to get our default raptor here, and we're going to create a copy, and we're going to put this in custom skins, and we're going to call this default raptor skin. Actually, we won't call this default raptor skin. This is going to be our custom skin for our material instance. So we're actually going to call this my Gaia raptor, because that is the one that is being worked on. So with that in custom skins, you now have your model and this. Next, we want to import our skin. So I'm going to do my GaiaRaptor.tga and click OK. And this is that blank layer that I had exported from 3D Coat. Next, what we want to do is right-click our material instance and click Edit using Material Instance Editor. And we will find the tab Vector or Texture Parameter Values, and we're going to locate Diffuse Overlay Color Texture. We want to click this in our content browser, and back in here there will be a little green arrow that says Use Selected Object in Content Browser. If we click that, it will change that to the skin color on our material instance. Now that that is done, we can exit our material instance editor and come here to our skeletal mesh. We'll double click this and locate the option for materials down here. Click 0. You want to come back in here into your content browser, click Material Instant Content, which is the one we just made. We'll highlight it and click our green arrow again, and that will overlay our custom skin onto our model. Now that we're done here, once you're done looking at your dinosaur, you can do the same thing if you wish to test your skin out in the SDK with the map testing. So we're going to come here into Predator, and we're going to locate our skeletal mesh for our default raptor. This one I already have the skin overlaid on, but we'll want to come back here into our package that we made for our models and skins, and we're going to highlight our material instance this time and do the same thing that we did here with materials and material instance and put that on our raptor. With that done, you can now exit the editor for that, and we'll minimize our content browser. It's important that you go into the Predator subdirectory if you wish to test your skin with the model in-game. So now with our map loaded, I'm going to click the Play in Viewpoint, and this will take just a moment for our game to pop up here. Now with this up, you choose your class that you did. We did Novaraptor, so Novaraptor is what we are going to be working with. And here you have your custom skin being tested in the SDK editor. And like I said, it is important that when you go into the actual packages that came with it, that when you do the Predator, Tyrant, whatever you choose to do your skin with, it has to be the default, since it is default that the game works with. Well, the editor works with. And now we move on to our next step. We are going to get our workshop item loaded up. So go into your Steam directory, go to Steam, Steam Apps, Common, and we're going to look for Primal Carnage Extinction Level Editor. We want to go into Binaries and go into Workshop, and here is our PC Workshop tool. We're going to launch this, and from here you select whatever it is: human, dinosaur, cosmetic dinosaur skin. In our case, this is going to be dinosaur skin. Item name, you will call it that, and then your item description, whichever you want to call it. And then for your files, you're going to click Browse, and you're going to locate your PNG file that you saved and load it into there. Over here you will see dinosaur class. We'll click Novaraptor, and then click your Publish button. And once your Publish button is clicked, you will go through a sequence of steps that will navigate you through like your payment options and stuff like that. You'll probably need your bank account. This is because when your items are sold on the in-game store or sold on market, because they are your design, your creation, you are getting a cut of the revenue for it. So once all that's done and over with, it will be submitted for workshop for the devs to overlook and see if they want to put it up to curate and all that other stuff. Thank you for taking the time to watch this tutorial. I wish you all the best of luck in your skin making endeavors. I hope you all have a very good day.